Hello students and welcome to the e-learning session of Social Science Standard 8. Students, earlier we have completed 5 chapters of Social Science and now today we are going to start with the 6th chapter of Social Science. The name of our today's chapter is Effects of the British Rule in India. The points which we are going to discuss in this chapter are the situation of India during the 18th century, condition of the peasants and agriculture during the British rule, then British effects on social life, then destruction of Indian trade and industry, then suspicion, that is doubts about the reforms which were made by the British, and last the nationalism spirit which arose amongst the Indians. So now all these points we are going to discuss one by one in detail. Now the first point which we are going to discuss is about situation of India during 18th century. Now students, we have learnt earlier that India was a very rich and prosperous country. It was known as a golden sparrow. Till 18th century, our country was economically very prosperous. Even the historians have admitted that our country was one of the richest countries in the world. But within the span of 200 years, where the Britishers ruled our country, after that our country became totally bankrupt and poor. Now how our country became bankrupt and poor? So regarding that, we will discuss that India supplied raw material to the factories in England. This was the major reason because of which our country became bankrupt and poor. So all these points we will discuss in detail. Now here you can see the condition of peasants and agriculture during the British rule. Peasants means what? Farmers. So what was the situation of farmers and the agriculture? So the British got a new opportunity to increase their income after the acquisition of Diwani right. Now what is Diwani right? Diwani right means right to collect land revenue. Now this right the British received from Mughal Emperor Shah Alam. He gave the right to the British to collect the land revenue, which was called Diwani right. And this right was given for the provinces of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. Now after getting this right, what did the British do? They started exploiting the peasants to earn more revenue, and as a result the peasants became very poor. So after achieving this Diwani right, the British they started exploiting the peasants. They started taking more and more taxes from the Indian farmers. As a result, our farmers they became poor and their condition was deteriorated. Now how the peasants were exploited? So many times the peasants had to sell their jewelry to pay the revenue. Now whether the Indian farmers were having the money or not, whether they have got the crop or not, but they have to pay the tax. So as a result, if they are not having the money, they have to sell their jewelry to pay the tax. Large number of peasants had to borrow money from the money lenders and consequently fell into the debt trap. Now what does this mean? That if the farmer was not having the money, he was not having the jewelry also, then what the farmer will do? He has to borrow the money from the money lenders. At that time banks were not there, so money was borrowed from the money lenders. So the farmers they used to borrow the money from the money lenders on interest, and then they have to pay the tax to the British. Moreover, Bengal witnessed a famine in the year 1770 in which lakhs of people died due to starvation. Now in 1770 a famine occurred. We have earlier learnt what is the meaning of famine, that when there is continuously no rainfall for continuously 2 to 3 years, then famine occurs, where there is shortage of food and water. So very devastating famine occurred in 1770. At that time lakhs of people they died due to starvation. Starvation means what? Bhukmari. They did not had the food to eat. So because of starvation many of the people died and they could not grow any crops in their field. As a result they did not have the money to pay the tax, and this is how they were ruined. Now this was a new system which was implemented by Lord Cornwallis in the year 1793, which was called Permanent Settlement Act. This was introduced by Lord Cornwallis. Now what does Permanent Settlement Act means? That Lord Cornwallis, he has appointed a group of people, they were known as zamindars. The right was given to the zamindars to collect the tax from the peasants, and the zamindars were the owners of the land. They had the power to collect the tax, and farmer becomes the tenants. They have to pay the tax up to 60% of the yield. Now here the farmers, they have to pay 60% amount as a tax, and it was compulsory. Even at the time the poor yield tax was to be paid. At the time of the poor yield means what? As I said earlier, even if the crop is not grown in the field, they have to borrow the money, sell their jewelry, do whatever they want, but they have to pay the tax compulsory to the British government. And the tax was supposed to be paid in cash only, and 60% amount was to be paid as a tax according to the Permanent Settlement Act. Now what was the main purpose of the Permanent Settlement Act? That through the Permanent Settlement Act, the company created a class of loyal landlords. That means the British, if they want to survive in India, they should have some support from the Indians also. So what did they do? They selected a group of people who were known as landlords and who were very loyal to the British, who were not loyal to the motherland, not loyal to our country, but they were loyal to the Britishers because they were earning money from the Britishers. So this act also ensured the income of the company. Now by this implementing this Permanent Settlement Act, the company, that is the British East India Company, has the benefit that they are going to definitely get the income from the Permanent Settlement Act. Now against this, the peasants who has worked in the hot sun were exploited. So the peasants who were working throughout their day in the field, they were not getting any benefit in return. On the contrary, whatever they were growing the crops, they have to sell it and pay the amount as a tax to the British. Now what were the effects of the British on social life? How was our social life disturbed by the British? So during the time of Warren Hastings, the charge was given to the persons called collector to collect the tax, and they were given the right to give the judgment also. They worked as judges also. Now here be very clear, students, that Lord Cornwallis, he gave the rights to the landlords or to the zamindars, but after Lord Cornwallis, Warren Hastings came, and Warren Hastings, he gave the right of collecting the taxes to the collectors. So this is the difference between two words, that Lord Cornwallis gave the right of collecting the taxes to the zamindars or the landlords, but after Lord Cornwallis, Warren Hastings came as a Governor General and he gave the right of collecting the taxes to the people who were known as collectors, and they were also given the right to give the judgment in the small disputes amongst the people. Now what happened? The judgment was also done by the collectors. So as a result, the Gram Panchayats were destroyed. Now we all know that earlier in India we had the Gram Panchayat system who used to impart justice and do all the administrative work. So this Gram Panchayat system was totally destroyed because of the British interference in the law and order. There was also insecurity amongst the people that the Britishers were converting the Indians to Christianity. They were giving the bribe to Indians that if you will join British army or if you will join British services, then we will give you certain income. But for that, if you want to join the British army, if you want to earn money, then you have to change your religion. You have to get converted into Christianity. So this destroyed Indian culture and religion also. So basically our social life, our society was disturbed as many of the Indians were being converted to Christianity. Moreover, an order was passed in Agra that whoever passes from the place, they have to salute the British officer, and if you will not salute the British officer, it will be considered as a crime and you will be given punishment for that. So this type of laws were implemented in the society, that people were forced or they were given the lucratives to get converted into Christianity. The law was also enforced that you have to salute the British officers when they are passing by. If you will not salute the British officer, it will be considered as a crime and you will be given the punishment. Now students, we will discuss about the Indian commodities which were very popular in the European markets. Now the European traders, we have learnt earlier that they used to come to our country and they used to purchase the commodities like jute, silk, then sugar, salt, muslin, wool. All these products were taken from our country to the European markets and it was sold over there. So because of that, what used to happen, that our country used to earn lots of wealth. Our country was becoming prosperous because all these commodities were in great demand in the European markets. So basically our products were sold in the European markets and we were earning money, wealth in the form of gold and silver. But as time passed, the situation changed. So now what happened, that industrial revolution took place. Now as per this industrial revolution, what happened, the British, they changed their mind. Now instead of taking the finished products from our country, what did they do? They started taking raw material from our country to the European markets. Then they used to manufacture it, convert it into finished product and then bring it back to our country and sell it in the Indian markets. So here you can see, now the situation changed, that the finished products which were brought from foreign countries to India, that was purchased by the Indian people, and gradually now the money went to England. So earlier our country was earning the money, now the wealth was going to the European countries. The goods which were manufactured in European markets were brought to Indian markets and was sold over here. As a result, the wealth was taken back to England. So in the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, British took 500 crore rupees only from Bengal. So we can imagine students that just only from Bengal, only one province, they have taken 500 crore rupees. So we can imagine that how much wealth they must have carried from our country as a whole. Now this is a very important factor that made our people poor, that is how our country got poor country, how it was converted to a poor country, that we'll discuss in this point, that the textiles made in India became costlier in India itself. Why? Why the products which were manufactured in our own country became costlier in our country itself? So there were two reasons. The first reason which we have discussed is that the British, they stopped taking finished goods from our country. They started taking raw material from our country, convert it into finished product, and then they used to sell it in our Indian markets. But they used to sell it at a cheaper rate. सस्ते में बेचते थे. So why they were selling it at a cheaper rate? So the reason was that Indian mills progressed due to the raw materials produced in India and money collected from India. Now clothes imported from England in India was tax free. This is very important. That the products which were brought back to India, the finished products which were brought back to India from England, they were tax free. Merchants don't have to pay any tax when they are importing the products in our country. Import means what? To bring in our country. So when the products were brought in our country, imported in our country, at that time no tax was paid. So whereas the taxes up to 80% were charged on the clothes manufactured in India. So whatever clothes, textiles, whatever was produced in India itself by the Indian textile industries or the cottage industries or the handloom workers, they have to pay 80% tax on the finished goods. And whereas the products which were imported from England was tax free. So what happened now कि जिसमें tax नहीं pay किया है, that products were cheap, वो सस्ते थे. And our Indian products, the Indian people, they have to pay the tax of 80%. So as a result, what happened? That our products became costly. So in the market, if we go to purchase anything, what we see? That we see that the product should be cheap as well as of good quality. So here what happened? The foreign products were cheap and Indian products were costly. Why? Because the foreign products were tax free. No tax was there. So it was sold in the market at a cheaper rate, वो सस्ते में बिकते थे. And our Indian products was charging 80% tax. The Britishers made the rule that 80% tax will be charged on the Indian products. So our products became costly. तो हमारे ही products जो हमारे ही country में बने थे, that became very costly in India itself. As a result, what happened? People started purchasing the products which were cheap products. So foreign products were sold more in the market and Indian products were not sold in the market. तो क्या हुआ? Foreign products की demand increase हो गई. They started earning more money and Indian merchants, Indian industries, they were running in loss. हमारी industries थी उसको loss होने लगा because our products were not sold in the market. What result was there? Clothes manufactured in India became costlier in India itself. Indian handicraft and cottage industries could not withstand the competition and were totally ruined. So our cottage industries were ruined, our cottage industries were destroyed because no one was purchasing Indian products. And as a result, what happened? Lakhs of skilled workers became unemployed. The people started becoming unemployed and finally the poor worker became more poor. So this is how once the country which was very prosperous turned out to be a bankrupt and a poor country because our products were not sold in the market. Now the next Governor General came, that is William Bentinck. He was Governor General from 1828 to 1835. So as a Governor General, he had made certain reforms in our country. So what reforms were made by him? That Indians started getting jobs in the company administration. Now earlier only the Indians were recruited in the military or army. But after the arrival of William Bentinck, he made it that the educated Indians started getting job in the British East India Company in the administrative office also. That is why he is also known as the father of Indian civil services. Then Indians were allowed to use their mother tongue in the court of law. Before the arrival of the William Bentinck, it was a rule that if any case is being heard in the court, the only language was English language which was used, but William Bentinck allowed to use the mother tongue in the court. Then he passed a law in 1829 to ban the practice of sati. Now what is the meaning of sati? So students, in those days there was a evil practice in India that if a husband dies, then the wife will have to burn herself alive along with the husband. That is called a sati system. The wife has to become a sati. She has to burn herself alive along with the dead body of the husband. So that was a very evil practice. At that time, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he was an Indian social reformer. He was working against this evil practice. Then he requested to William Bentinck to pass a law in India to ban this practiced, because at that time British Governor Generals were there, British government was there. So Rajaram Mohan Roy, he requested to William Bentinck to pass a law to ban the system of sati. Ban means what? To stop the system. This system is a evil practice. It should not be practiced in India. So ultimately in 1829, William Bentinck passed the law to ban the practice of sati. Now during this Lord Bentinck's time, he requested the British government that in India English education system should also be started, and 1 lakh rupees should be given as a charge for starting the English education in India. So with the help of Lord Macaulay, he was a very famous British historian and politician. So William Bentinck asked Lord Macaulay to introduce English education in India. So Lord Macaulay introduced English education in India in the year 1834. Now all these reforms were made by William Bentinck, but there was a suspicion in the minds of the Indian people. Suspicion means what? Doubts. That there was a doubt in the minds of the Indians that why the Britishers wants to do the reforms in our country. So the educational methods adopted by Macaulay did not benefit the youth. He started the English education, but that was at the primary stage. So the youth, that is the adult people, they were not much benefited by these reforms. Moreover, the Indians lost the advantage of acquiring ancient knowledge and skills developed by their ancestors. Indian culture is a very rich culture. Our ancestors were very much skilled workers. So as the peoples moved towards the English education, then the ancient skills were forgotten by the people. Moreover, Gandhiji also said that to give millions the knowledge of English is to enslave them. That by receiving English education we have to enslave the nation. So Gandhiji was also against the English education. According to him, that the main intention of the British was that they wanted educated slaves. That is why they have started English education in India. Now the reforms and nationalism. The reforms were done by the British so that they can rule the country very smoothly. They can run the administration of the country very smoothly. So for that the British has made the reforms of railway, post, telegraph, printing press, circulation of newspapers in order to maintain an effective control over the country and the neighboring territories. So all these efforts were done by the British so that they can run the administration of the country smoothly and they can have proper hold or control over the neighboring territories also. But these reforms, how it became useful, how it became beneficial to us, then it turned out to be a blessing in disguise for the growth of nationalism in India. All these reforms, they helped to develop the spirit of nationalism amongst the Indians. The people who acquired English education became familiar with the revolutions going around the world. The people came to know that what type of reforms are being done in the other countries also, how the other slave countries are fighting for their freedom. So from them we can also learn the techniques that how can we free our country from the British rule. Then the people came closer to each other due to the reforms and could pass the messages easily, which helped in the spread of nationalism in the country. Because of all these developments, the reforms, now the Indian people also, they became close to each other and then they could pass the messages very easily related with the nationalism, and this is how slowly the spirit of nationalism grew among the Indians. So I hope students all the points are clear to you. Once again read the chapter also properly and complete the chapter in your workbook also. Thank you and have a nice day.